Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Fox Queen, you're supposed to be in game, not here.
I'm in both. Like, I set up my new comfort.
Yes. I have not set them up yet. We'll be doing that for next session because, we will need different ones.
Okay. So, I just learned that Minecraft Pocket Edition was on Xperia Play. You guys remember when the Xperia was a thing? I don't.
Yeah, I don't even... I don't know what that is.
It was an Android gaming console.
Xperia? Xperia, like...
Yeah. XPERIA, I believe it is.
PlayStation phone, Sony Xperia. Huh. Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that. I was like, that's the dumbest shit ever. Who would ever buy that?
The answer was nobody.
Like the Razer phone, you know?
Dude, I had a Razer.
The Razer was actually popular, but
No,
only with
I mean
like
the
12-year-olds.
Razer- I mean the Razer, like the company, like the gaming.
Oh!
headset
Oh, the
company.
gaming phone?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was like, oh shit, there is a Razer phone. Because I like the pink one, right? The little flip Razer phone that was like
Yeah,
hot
I had
pink.
the
Yeah.
red one. I wish I had the
Dude.
hot pink one.
So, I'm not gonna lie, the guy who did the music for Minecraft, this guy has like, maybe like, a small handful of things he's in, but god damn, does he fucking slap, like he has done 8 games, and 3 films, but he did Life-Changing Moments, Seen in Minor, Minecraft Volume Alpha and Beta, so basically all the music for Minecraft, 72 Minutes of Fame, the movie 148, If, Excursions, he did one for a game called Cookie Clicker, he then,
I love Cookie Clicker.
and then for his films, he did the intro for Mr. Mercedes and the intro for Stranger Things.
Oh shit, for real? The
Yeah,
intro
for
was
real.
Okay, well that's clearly the best thing he's done.
I will not say that Stranger Things is the best show in the world. I do enjoy it, but it's not the best show. But the fact that its music is so good, like it has that 80s vibe.
No, sorry, he did Beyond Stranger Things.
I mean, whatever.
Well, you just shat on my whole
Yeah.
thing.
You shatter my perception of reality, why don't you?
Is Razer has little gloves for your thumbs.
Yeah, isn't that the
Dream Road.
stupidest thing you've ever seen?
Here's your mobile thimble. Have fun.
I have to step away. I'll be right back.
Okay.
So you guys see how they now have Resident Evil 4 in VR?
No, but now I need it.
It's really weird to see it in first person. It's kind of cool though.
Is it the original or is it a remastered?
Oh, it looks like it's a remastered, but it's the same game.
Resident Evil 4. Oh, they have 4, 5, and 6 for $15 right now. On Steam.
You
Right.
couldn't pay me to play Resident Evil 6 though, so.
Anime.
Until they're giving me
Animation?
$15
This
to play
is,
Resident Evil 6, it ain't happening.
VTM, Vampire the Masquerade. It is a tabletop vampire game set in the world of darkness. It is...
That's because I'm gonna be the fucking Gen Z loser that I am and say it's because Resident Evil.
It's a darker form of Dungeons & Dragons. Minus all the extra combat and whatnot, as combat in here usually goes one of 2 ways. It lasts forever or it ends
And
instantly.
I played most of
And the lasting forever is
briefly.
because of
I'm
bad
at
rolls
this
and nothing
phase
more.
Where I basically
It's
was
more of a
like,
political
I had a
kind
bunch
of
I
system.
had cousins who had, like,
I say political. Storytelling system is
collectively between them, they had every
technically
Resident
more
Evil.
accurate.
So through them, I've probably played every Resident Evil game from 1 to 5 for like a couple hours each. And every time I'm just like, I'm done playing the human battleship game. Maybe the next one I'm not a human battleship, and I'm always a human battleship.
Fox Queen, I'm answering them. I just turned my mic off so I wasn't talking over you.
And then I played Resident Evil 7 for a while, and that game pissed me off for different reasons. But finally, I was not a human batch.
I mean, that's fair. But yes, animation strength, this is based on, in this case, Dark Ages, except everything's supernatural and everything's worse. So, what you see here is a map I've made set on the very real Isle of Sinol, I believe it is? Limnos. In Greece. And these are our 4 kindred who will be partaking in today's story. One of which is a little late. He's grabbing food, a bite to eat, as it were. So we're sort of chit-chatting until he gets here. But we'll be getting into the thick of it as soon as he does.
And I gotta put on my really just atrocious, like, French German accent.
So the reason I didn't play Resident Evil games is because only one of them was released on the PlayStation 2. And that's the only console I had until like 2011.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Terrible feeling that. Except I had a GameCube. And I
never had a GameCube and I wanted one
360.
so bad. I never had a GameCube.
Yeah, but I had one for like 3 months, and then there was like this really great deal at our local GameStop where it's like turn in a traditional console and be able to buy an Xbox 360 for $80.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking good.
So we were
You
like,
know, back when GameStop had pull with what they did.
yeah, back when GameStop was cool, I had good deals.
Yeah, I had over like 40 PlayStation 2 games and I was gonna bring them in. But since it was about an hour drive, I gave them a call ahead of time and I was like, how much would I get for this? And they're like $1. Alright, cool. Fuck you.
Yeah,
I mean, I get it.
depreciation on video games is fucking awful. It goes so quickly.
But yeah, we only had PlayStation 2 until like 2011, and we got a 360. The only games we had on the 360 for a good 3 years were Kung Fu Panda and Lego Indiana Jones.
Well, you at least had one good game.
Dude, I remember playing the Chronicles of Narnia game and the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory game on like PlayStation 2.
I had the Tale of Despero game. It was awful. I played the Chicken Little game. That was actually really fun.
Thank you, Jay.
So, I just want to say, a random hot take. I hate GTA games, man. Like, I am just
they're
on
not-
a warpath.
They're not that great. It's not surprising.
Well,
They're-
My
it's
brother and
like,
I were obsessed with San Andreas. Probably because we were raised Catholic. We were very much not supposed to play games like that, but our mom's an idiot and bought us it anyways without knowing what it was.
it's really called Grand Theft Auto. Oh, yeah, whatever. My biggest problem with Grand Theft Auto is I love me some crime dramas. And, God, if you ever want to play a crime game where the last thing you feel like is an actual criminal, Grand Theft Auto's the series for you, man.
Oh yeah, nah, you feel like I don't know.
I feel like a guy who doesn't know how to say no, who just happens to, like, all of my friends are criminals.
Yeah, like especially in San Andreas, because it's literally like you come back for a funeral and your guys are like, hey, let's do some crime, and you're like, I guess.
Yeah,
And they give you shit for not doing it good enough.
Like, I guess I could.
What about Saints Row and the whole storyline starting with that? Like, you just fucking
Alright.
fall into being the mob boss.
Saints Row is parody of Grand
Yes,
Theft
yes.
Auto. So
Yeah, but
It is.
the thing is that so Saints Row 1, the only actual crime game. You choose to join the gang though. Like, and you're not in charge. You get jumped in after you feel like you need to join, you bite into the plot hook, which is, I almost got killed in a gang shootout, and then some dudes bailed me out and were like, listen, these guys almost killed you over their dumb bullshit. We're forming a gang to mollywop their gang. Join our gang.
Yeah,
And
that's what I'm saying. Like, it wasn't...
My issue with Saints Row progression, this is a little off topic, but it's the same issue I have with the Fable progression, because it's like, you start out bottom of the ladder, and it's kind of fun building your way up, and then the second one, it's like you're at the middle of the ladder, and you build your way up, and then when you're at the top of the ladder, and you're the President of the United States, or you start as the King of the Kingdom, it's kind of just like, where do I go from here?
Well, like, my problem is, right, is that, like, you never actually get King of the Kingdom. Like, at the end of Saints Row 2, you take over a single city. That's nice, right? But, like, that's basically nothing as far as organized crime is concerned. Yeah, that's cool if the year's, like, 990. Oh, yeah, you get a lot of money from a single city. Organized crime, for basically as long as it has existed, has tried to be a national or international gig. And so it's like, oh yeah, I run the streets in one place. I'm the coolest. And then Saints Row 3 could have been about, you know, nationalizing or internationalizing, which, you know, it kind of is. But then in the fourth game, you're just like, president.
Yeah, that's when it really went down that parody thing. Like, Saints Row 3 was at least trying to take itself a little bit more seriously, but then 4 was like, nah.
I thought 2 was a good middle ground.
Yeah. You know what bothered me about the entire franchise? What bothered me entirely about the entire franchise was that Johnny Gat, I felt like, should be the leader of the Saints, but instead your bitch ass is the leader of the Third True Saints.
Yes, the man who takes a little rocket to the face says, I don't really want to lead this gang. I don't have the gumption. No, well, you do.
That's because in Saints Row 1, you know, he's a badass guy, but he's still just a guy. And they get rid of that robo-leg shit in Saints Row 2, but he actually gets kneecapped in Saints Row 1, which is why he doesn't lead the gang.
I mean, that's fair.
Theoretically, he's not physically able. And after he gets kneecapped, his ability to even be in the gang at all comes into question multiple times.
Back when they had actual story writers.
Yeah, well, back when they had stakes.
Alright, while we're waiting on Mr. Bread, we're gonna go ahead and dive right into some things. I gave us 15 minutes. He will be here when he's here. To those viewers who noticed we asked shorter player, we had a player decide that for their mental health they were going to step back from a lot of other games, so they have decided to drop this one. It's sad, but it is the nature of things, and I promote people do what's good for their mental health over trying to force themselves to be somewhere where they're forced to be. That's not good for anyone. That said, we do still have 4 players, one of which is currently getting food, and I will beat him for it later. I did not give him permission to go get food. But yes. Last we left off, and it's a good stopping point for Arsh, who won't be joining us going further. Arsh will be essentially working to make this island not a hellhole, and you will see some ripple effects of that as I run his character some rolls and see what happens. Should you ever come back here, should you ever, like, send a letter back, question things, or maybe you befriend one of the 3 families here, or one of the 3 kindred here, and they end up contacting you further. It could be some ripple effects later down the line. Probably not for another couple decades, but you get the idea. That said, I believe Arsh was wrapping some stuff up, and would likely be talking with our sweet, good, not Lord DeFiro, Lord Potorus. Meanwhile, I believe, post-conversation with a certain Mistress Silame, Silmea, I can't even say my own character's name right, Corbus was going to go meet with Mr. Kishnik. Was that correct?
Yes, now that, in his opinion, the rest of the party has been given plenty of time to brutally embarrass themselves, he will then approach more formally toward Kishnik.
At this point, I will say Ash is off in some secluded corner of the estate with Lord Potoros. And dear Eudocia and Ariadne, you two can be heading out into the village proper, and I believe you did have some stuff to do, but I don't remember what specifically it was off the top of my head. So consider that. You do have a whole village here. It's a fairly large village. It's expansive across this entire area here. So do keep that in mind. That said, we'll start with Corbus to give you two some time to consider what you might wish to do. Corbus, you head up, and one of the guards, upon seeing you, seems to recognize you at least enough, and does gesture you inside.
And he'd enter, of course, with a small nod to the man going his way.
Inside, you come to meet... well, an empty room, first of all. However, you were not left... this is fairly common, especially in... you have at least one daughter of politics, I believe. Yes. So, this is fairly common as not an explicit power play, but they're making you wait on them as opposed to them waiting on you. It's meant to be very, I'm in charge, you get to speak to me whenever I desire it. But it doesn't take too long. They don't particularly want you here to begin with, and that is felt the moment the man walks into the room, as Armand Kishnik comes into the room, his old armor, a herald of the ages, clinks away, his sword on his hip, his eyes glowing pale white. It's very subtle, but it's easily spotted if this were the dead of night. The minor torches in the estate make it a little less noticeable, but for the trained eye of those expecting the supernatural. He steps close and gives Corbus a bit of... how tall is Corbus?
Well, double check his information tab. Lanky, if my memory serves. 6 foot exactly. Mass titanically sized man for the time.
Yes, for the record,
Very
Kishnik is 5'7". So, he's a little shorter, but he is definitely stockier than you. So, without blood buffing, you would probably struggle to deal with him. And considering he can blood buff, likely, more than you, that would be a losing fight. But it is notable he is a stocky individual. His armor, though punctured and damaged, still seems in good enough shape to take on a full-on attack, at least for a little bit. His blade on his hip seems otherwise unprofound. He approaches, eyeing you up from head to toe, before finally speaking. Your compatriots, they bring a circus with them. What do you bring?
Courtesy?
You've come into my village. I cannot say that is ultimately a courtesy, but I suppose coming to me is courtesy enough.
Lord Kishnik. our clans are great friends, you and I. We have a kinship with each other.
And what is your blood?
Tzimisce.
A fair assessment. I still do not appreciate unannounced guests, but I will, as I did for them, let this slide. There are other things afoot regardless. I am curious why you have come here then. They announce themselves, but why do you come? What business do you have?
Well, I do not know what they have told you, so I will just recount the story. As you know, Lord DeFiro holds the port, and he is not too keen on letting anyone enter or leave. It was pulling teeth to get him to finally accept that I and the Ventrue want to leave, and that a boat was coming. Fair enough, he thought, and then he demanded official documentation from the kind. Very frustrating, but doable. And as I go to find this kind that I am looking for, he has been struck dead with a hammer. Following the trail provided by animals, it seems that a canine was struck dead by the same hammer, and that it led back. Now I have not told Lord Tefiro of such things, because Lord Kishnik, I do not believe you or anyone in your domain would try to do Lord Tefiro the favor of forcing us to remain. I do believe this is bad circumstance. But this puts me in a difficult situation. But I respect you and your lineage far more than I respect any self-righteous Doriador. So, I come to you with this information.
Give me charisma expression, please. Difficulty 7, just because it's a little tense.
Tense atmosphere.
Indeed.
He's gonna be cutting me off, the old man, the old boy. Goody.
Your words definitely do strike him, in the sense that he's listening, and clearly listening. Corbus can only imagine he was all but rolling his eyes with the others, especially the red-headed Ravnos. And were it not for the Ravnos likely not revealing his blood, his carefree attitude and nonchalant demeanor overall was likely going to be something a lord did not appreciate in such depreciated times. But perhaps it softened him up a bit, because he looks a little more genuinely curious as he crosses his arms with a slight defensive posture. Your story matches, and either the lot of you decided to rehearse it very well, or you are simply telling the truth. And I will not declare anyone a liar any more than I would wager any of you would willingly try to dismiss me as someone who harbors murderers. However, it still raises an issue. But, in exchange for allowing me to solve my own problems, and you all not abating or being proposed to abate a potential breach of domain, I will offer a bit of recompense. I have an issue bigger than the one you're dealing with. I mentioned it to them. I do not know if they were interested. But there is another port here. The Ida Gormic has decided to fight me on it, even though it is rightfully mine. So, while we battle wits within the city, it slowly decays as nothing can be pushed through. And this becomes a problem for both of us. For if the city decays enough, it will never regain any sort of momentum as a counterance to Marina. So, I propose that instead of you dealing with Lord DeFiero's inability to secure his own domain, that you help me deal with another issue in Modros.
Well, I was considering something far more drastic, Lord Kishner. You see, Lord DeFiero is a problem. Not just his port policy. The man is a problem. So, let me make sure I understand. You and Lady Cormac are in something of a debate over a port that sits between. On your side, of course, but close enough that she feels she is allowed some privilege to the bay, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this seems... I think another alternative can be found. Lord Dufiro is keeping the largest of these settlements to himself. He is also keeping the resources to do something with Mordros and Contia to himself. So, I think you and Lady Cormac, which I am of course willing to be your third party envoy to her, should unite your strength to simply smote Lord Dufiro out of the picture, and then you both get the Lord. After all, Lord Dufiro's domain is on your side of the island. If you get his territory, and then agree to give her that port, and then in addition help Lady Cormac sit there in Madros, you both get half the island, and a relatively equal partials of domain.
Now, is Corbus being genuine in this?
Oh yeah, Lord
Okay.
Dufiro needs to go away.
Give me... we'll do manipulation expression in this case. Same dice roll for you, all intents and purposes, it seems, but...
Yes. Still div 6? Div 7?
Diff 8, because this is...
Big
Though you're
feat.
not... This is not explicitly, we're going to kill him, but it's very heavily implied.
Very, very heavily implied that we're going to kill him. I'm gonna spend a willpower on this. 0. Or 1, depending on how you interpret willpower expenditure.
It would put it at 0, because you
Yes.
got that -1, sadly. His eyes narrow a bit, and he gives a scoff of disapproval. Well, I do not disagree that Lord DeFiero is a problem, suggesting a venerable war upon the Isle when we just finished dealing with the paramount of the church state here is a dangerous suggestion. Even if done covertly, there would be such things as the outset of individuals who wish to avenge, or wish to defend, or rebel, and we already deal with 3 factions. 4 if you count the bloody witch of the south. That is too risky even for me.
But I hold the position of Lord Retainer from the Catholic Church in Marina. This title could be transitioned to one of your mortals, which would give you a legal precedent over the territory, the church backing, and the garrison.
And there's no consideration that Lord DeFiro does not also have his vitae embedded into their very heart.
I would think not, considering that I hold the title, not a ghoul.
And where does your heart lie?
Far from here. I'm going to leave the city soon. My retainer title will be inherited by someone else, and Lord Kishnik, I prefer to give it to you. But we both know that if I leave out of Lord DeFiro's court, he will take the title and secure the total garrison of Marine. You will never get the chance to take the city from him unless you get a larger force from outside the territory. But if you get promised that larger force, how would you get it here? No. You know that if you're going to get the forces it takes to take this isle for yourself, you need Montrose or Marina.
He takes his hand, stroking his beard as he considers this. His beard gnarly and ungroomed, likely because getting any sort of beauty supplies or self-care supplies to this isle at this exact moment is rough. Even Lord DeFiro has a bit of a scraggle to him. Well, you make a fair point. I still do not think I can rightfully simply say yes to this. I will suggest that you and your coterie reside here for the evening. Find a meal. Enjoy yourselves. With what little hospitality we have, you may make use of it. If you happen to come across evidence of your claim, I will hear it, but that should ideally not be your immediate concern. I will consider it overnight, and on the follow evening, I will have a voice for you.
I have a bird, a witness to cry. Perhaps you would like to keep it in your care. I'm not trying to choke you out of you, Lord Kishnik. In fact, I would much prefer if any evidence of your involvement in Lord Stefiro's domain would disappear.
I will take this bird for now. Again, I will consider this offer, but it is not one I can make lightly.
I understand. It is something that requires great consideration.
Otherwise, enjoy your evening. If you have further business, I recommend it be potent.
I'm honored. I will see you tomorrow evening, Lord Kishnik. And one way or another, I will secure this deal with the Guardsman about this dog, and perhaps what else we spoke of.
We will see.
Fries and cookers. I'll give a courteous bow, I suppose.
Oh, do what you think is appropriate. I just found it funny because I wasn't expecting it.
Well, I think, well, like, so, like, curtsy is, like, just supposed to, just a term for, like, a good bow, but everyone, English language is interpreted as a female form of gentle politeness. Yeah, it's a thing. Linguistics, man.
It's fine. It's fine. So, Corbus, you make your way out. At this point, the other three have had a chance to sort of explore the village proper. What? You were, just as a sort of reminder, you were given leave to find yourself a meal within the village. And if you so desired, you could go hunt something. Though if you're still looking for the individual that you were tracking, you can also do that as well.
We were looking for the other kindred, the one with the hammer, right? That's
Yeah, we were looking for the
okay.
for the guy that looked like you could swing a hammer the size of God.
Yeah. Let me see real quick. What hungry I am. Oh fuck, I'm not hungry at all. So I guess as they would leave the building, Eudocia would turn to the other two and do either of you need sustenance? Would you like to go find a meal?
No. Thank you for asking. Very polite of you, Eudocia. Lovely.
Harald?
I do not need to feed.
Fantastic. Is there anything you would like to search for in this village in particular? I don't mind checking it out and seeing how the people are doing here, considering the people in Lord Defiro's little port town are doing rather poorly. I can't imagine they're doing much better here without the port. Otherwise, we could search for our suspects, though I do not think Lord Armand would appreciate that.
But do we care is the question.
That is a good question. Because he has a dirty ganger. I really don't quite care what he thinks of me.
Perhaps it is. You can ignore the opinion of a wolf when you are not in the wolf's den.
Gotta agree with you for once. I say we go searching.
Alright. I will pause you here because I do enjoy the clan politicking of just shitting on the gangrel.
That's. I will say there was some misinterpretation there out of what Harald was trying to say.
No, I got what Harald was saying. Like,
I thought he was saying go ahead and go.
no,
he's saying, yeah, no, it's like we're in his den. That's what's being said.
should we
I thought it was
really-
we're in his den. Whatever else doing anyway sucks.
Nah, like, it's easy to mock the wolf when, you know, you're not inside his home. But we are very much inside his home, and I don't know if you want to poke that wolf with a stick.
I think we should. But you know, miscommunication aside, I think we totally should.
I should probably
Wow.
apologize directly to my dice.
Harald's just grinding his teeth. Can't stand this.
That's how fucking angry and grumpy he is. He's just crunch, crunch. That's not ice. That's teeth.
He's just grabbed a sparrow off of a branch somewhere, and just shoved it in his mouth.
Jesus Christ.
But no.
Is there a problem, Janex? You don't like them talking shit about the gangrel? Alright, so are you guys going to go investigate further, or?
Well, I have
Investigate further.
I have one thing that Harald would want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is it find a better personality?
No.
Jesus Christ, but okay.
Go on, Harald. What do you wish to do?
I need to find a church.
Oh, so it is finding a better personality. Okay. Alright. So, the church is rather easy to find. It is, first of all, rather large, and clearly didn't used to be of Catholic origin. But it was remodeled that way.
When you say didn't used to be of Catholic origin, what does that mean?
It clearly used to be a temple of some pagan god of some sort that they refurbished and added on the traditional church bell idea to it.
Okay.
And then made it not so round. It's... The job itself works, but it doesn't look very pretty. It's clearly two different types of stone, isn't painted the same way, it looks slapstick for all intents and purposes. But it exists, and it's kind of at the center of the village. Easy to spot.
Easy to spot.
Just as a small, Eudocia would ask Ariadne if she would want to tag along with Harald, or we could gently at least investigate where this man lives, but probably not push further than that. You know what I mean? Just you're like, oh, we're just interested in this guy. What's his shtick? Where's he at? You know?
Yeah.
Any hot
Yeah.
goss about him?
Yeah, any hot goss? Huh? Got any hot tea?
Is he fetch?
Well, you can't say hot goss, because that's not until we get further inland. But
Is he a solid 10 out of 10?
he is solid.
Shit.
If you wish to investigate, you can do. I assume you're just going to go talk to people and see what they know. Yes.
Yeah, just kind of. Alright, unless Ariadne has other ideas, Eudocia would probably just ask.
Nah,
what
man, we're gonna
village
Scooby-Doo
people
this
up
shit.
about. Hell
Nah.
yeah. Velma and Daphne. Fucking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know where Eudocia is going to go with that phrase. I'm glad she stopped herself.
Yep.
All right. The both of you can give me charisma subterfuge. It can be manipulation subterfuge if you find that better. Harald, you're heading to a church, yes?
This what?
Yes.
Difficulty 7 because you're not from here. Big oof.
Oof.
Not a true botch.
Haha.
Alright. Ariadne is carrying us. Eudocia's really bad at being subtle.
Eudocia sadly falls into the category of being a little too sultry. You know, massive
Yeah, yeah. The
personality and
people-
all that.
Yeah. The people she's asking are a little focused on not her eyes.
Or what she's saying, for that matter.
Yup.
Alright, and Harald, you're heading to the church. What are you going to do there?
Well,
Crunch, crunch.
yes, I'm gonna eat another sparrow. I'm kidding.
That's how he thinks.
But no, what I'm going to, I'm just gonna kind of, boom, there we go, on the map. Well, I'm gonna go inside the church.
Congratulations, you don't explode.
Okay, step one. Harald, just as he's stepping in there, just thinking, I haven't been inside of a church since I've been turned. Is this going to kill me? Steps over the threshold. Does not kill me. Excellent.
Things that just weren't covered in You Are Now a Vampire, oddly enough.
Yes.
You were told crosses don't explicitly always do anything, but you were never told whether going into a church was a bad thing, just because it never really crossed your sire's mind.
Didn't explain, oh yeah, it's perfectly fine for you to go onto consecrated ground unless you do some very naughty things.
That's also assuming this is properly consecrated.
That's a fair point. It probably is. If it's old
Probably?
enough, if it's old enough to be a crypt to be a Catholic church in Greece, built with parts of an old pagan temple built into it, they probably went through the efforts to, one, properly consecrate it, and two...
That is fair, that is fair. Alright, you're in the church. What is your plan?
Am I alone in the church? Is there anybody else in the church?
There are a few individuals who are kneeling and praying at an altar. The pews that are here are clearly waterlogged and water-rotted. Just walking near them on the relatively solid ground, you can feel them slightly rattle with the thud of your step.
Well, I am going to look around for a priest or a deacon here.
Alright. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Give me just a moment. Ensuring I don't already have someone set up for this, because I did not actually make a priest for this church. I did make a priest, but I do not think I want to use them yet. So, there's a priest here. As of this moment, they are not terribly important, but that all depends on what Harald intends to do with this priest.
Alright. And, Harald is just going to stand a little ways back away from the altar and wait to, either one, be addressed by the priest, or two, for the people that are kneeling there before the altar to, decide they don't want to be in here while he is also in here.
The looming shadow and the foreboding presence do a lot for this request that you have in the back of your mind. And after about 2 minutes or so, the people seem to rush the praying and eventually take leave. The priest giving you a very concerned gaze. And he does actually approach first, giving you a sympathetic look of pity. He's an older gentleman, looking to have, much like the rest of the village, fallen on hard times. His visage wrinkled and grayed hair beyond his actual age. If you'd guessed from a brief glance, he was clearly in his 70s, but the way he stands is indicative of someone in their 40s. His teeth are mildly rotted, and his eyes lack the luster of youth, but not the willful acceptance of coming death. He gives you a kind smile, asking, whatever would you be doing here? You seem to have a long shadow about you, looming, draining the will of those around you.
That I do, but you do not need to be afraid of it, or me for that matter.
I do not fear that which travels with you. I fear more for your soul. Not many travel with such dark intent wisping around them like some kind of specter.
It is a trial which the Lord has seen fit to present me with, and it is a trial that, the Lord willing, I will overcome.
I see.
But that is not why I am here. And he reaches to take the large bundled up object on his back off of it. I came into possession of this weapon while in Constantinople.
That is a mighty thing. Is that truly a weapon or an artifact of giants of yore?
I am uncertain, but I cannot carry it with me, and I cannot simply discard it for reasons that I think will be made abundantly clear. May I rest it upon your altar?
I need to make a roll. One moment. Well, he looks it over, his gaze simultaneously curious, but also that morbid curiosity of, what is this thing? And his hand, where it doesn't touch it directly, hovers over it. I feel a rebuttal, like it wishes me gone. It simultaneously wants to draw me in, and yet wishes to expel me.
It wishes many things gone.
I do not know if the altar would be the best place for it, but if you truly wish, you may attempt to set it there. This is a damned object, however. That much I can tell.
And Harald nods, which is why I come to entrust it to a holy man. And Harald is going to attempt to lay it down, to lay the sword down on the altar and unwrap it.
Harald!
Yes.
Dexterity athletics, please. Difficulty 6.
Interesting, okay. Div 6. Okay. Here we go. Okay, that will be 2 successes.
You hear a sudden sound that you can only describe as birds being murdered by the flock. Like someone's taking dozens of some sparrows and strangling them as they caw and gurgle and cry out in their feral attempts to survive. It echoes through the church, and it seems that even the priest hears it. And just as you're about to set the blade upon the altar, you flinch back as the altar itself erupts into a red fire. Not like a typical orange, yellow, and you know, flickers of red fire. It is blood red in color. And the altar burns to cinders within but a few moments. And the priest stares upon you in abject terror. And then the sword. I do not think you should be here any longer for risk of whatever that is, destroying this one salvation for the people of this village.
It burned the altar
Indeed.
away.
Indeed.
The altar was wooden?
No. It was stone.
Oh. Fun.
I know, right? Good times.
Sounds like a spicy sword.
Well. Dicks. Okay.
You need to just chuck it in a river, man. Just
I don't
yeet it.
I don't think I can just chuck it in a river. It did this in a church.
Chuck it in the river, man.
Chuck it in some holy water.
Well, unfortunately, I need somebody with true faith to make holy water that'll actually do something meaningful to it.
Does Corbus have true faith?
I don't know.
Might
But-
be a good question to ask him.
But,
Of course I have true faith in the Lord.
Yeah, Harald is going to wrap this sword back up and swiftly exit the church. Actually, before he exits the church, would you allow me to compensate you for the damages? I did not expect that to happen.
Give me charisma empathy, please.
Okay, what's the base difficulty?
8.
That's high, man.
Indeed. Well, a priest just watched his stone altar get burned to cinders.
I'd be pretty mad if I were that priest. I mean,
Mad, yes. Does he actually want to take anything further from this individual who has this weird,
Alright.
evil presence and a sword that can burn stone? Probably not.
So what Harald needs to do is replace that altar, because that's what a nice person would do.
That's what he's trying to do.
That's what I'm trying to offer.
Oh, okay.
It comes down to, does the man
Dude, am I
believe
blind?
his genuineness, or does he believe the devil is trying to get one over on him by accepting blood money? Is...
I'm checking something right quick, because I did it dumb and I didn't record what Eerie Presence does, and I don't remember if it bumps the difficulty up by 1 or 2 for dealing with mortals.
By 2.
It is by 2. Yeah.
It is by 2? Okay. Well,
Unfortunately, you
then
will
that's
be
it.
very uncomfortable.
Then that's a... that is a difficulty 10 test that I'm rolling with this man.
Good luck, man. You're creepy as hell. Good luck.
This creepy ass motherfucker comes into your church, burns your
Go-
stone
Now-
altar
now-
to the ground.
Comes
it-
into your church, says, "Be not afraid," sets your stone altar on fire.
You're like,
Now, in
Harald's
all
fault,
fairness,
right?
in all fairness, Harald, you've had a whole year to figure out you have this effect. Do you instead want to just say he's going to take your money to pay for the altar?
You do have dominate.
I was just
That's
going to
better.
say you
What-
could just be intimidating and force the money on him.
I could. Well, you know what?
Or you could leave it somewhere and he could just find it in passing and not know it's from you.
I would like to try to convince this man through honesty first.
That's understandable.
You're really tall, right? Harald is really tall.
Harald is
Very tall?
Is fairly tall, yes.
You're a tall, scary man. That's creepy.
This massive sword
That burn things.
That burns things.
that burns stone to the ground.
Alright.
So convincing there.
This is difficulty 10, so I'm not gonna spend a willpower on it. If the dice favor me, the dice favor me. If the dice do not favor me, the willpower has done it.
That could have been worse. Like, the fact that you didn't get a negative at all is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that is. You are right about that.
Yeah.
Alright, moving on. So, the man looks at you and shakes his head rapidly, his body visibly shivering and not explicitly terror of you, but terror of the situation.
Just like this man is afraid.
This man has gone his entire life preaching God and likely never once seeing an actual miracle. And here you come into his church that he is lording over, that is in probably one of the worst towns in all of this isle, and you just ignite and potentially both reinforce and damage his faith in God in one evening, within a few minutes.
Well, I believe Harald is going to make his exit
Leave the money on like the steps of the church.
and find an alternative method to get money to this church or this town.
Or I guess, yeah, if it's a rough town, maybe you don't want to leave the money just anywhere.
I think what's gonna happen is he's gonna once he meets back up with Corbus, he's just gonna be like, hey Corbus, can you help me get some? I may have accidentally destroyed the altar in this town's church. Can you help me?
And this man's faith in God.
Can you help me replace the altar?
Harald, as you step outside, you hear a slight crunch under your feet.
Wow.
And
What are that?
you look
Looks like
around,
sparrow bones around.
and you see a bunch of dead birds encircling the church. Okay,
Well.
moving on to Eudocia and Ariadne.
Didn't realize I was psychic. My bad.
And those are fresh dead birds. It's not like someone dug up a bunch of bird carcasses. No, it's like the birds came here and just died around the church. So, Ariadne, between you and Eudocia, you are the more successful one in this case. What are you looking for on this individual?
I'm retarded. What do you mean? Individual. Where are we right now?
We're chasing Hammer Guy.
Yeah, we're
Or
like asking
y'all are
around
chasing Hammer
about
Guy.
him. We're like talking to the villagers and like, hey, what do you know about this guy?
Yeah, but he was saying.
But
I thought for some reason the way he phrased it was like, "There's a body on the ground." What? Are we
Oh,
back
no.
there? That's
No,
what I
no.
like really blew me off. Okay, so we're like around a bunch of people.
Yes,
well, yeah,
you're
he
talking to
knows.
people.
Yeah. Gosh, would describing what he looked like and asking people help? Knowing if
know his
anybody.
name?
What's I'm just asking, what are you trying to find out about him?
His name, if we don't know his name. Now that Shua brought that up.
You are likely you've been given a likely name of him, and by most accounts, it seems to be a Sir Boltier.
Okay, then I would Ariadne would personally start asking if they know anyone by that name.
Okay.
And go from there.
So, the first few people, give it 5 or 6 people you end up going through, almost immediately stop the conversation and just walk away. It's not until you use your extreme force of will to finally force someone all but into a literal corner and ask them about him that you realize that he is a scary individual. He apparently stands as tall as a giant, always wears this foreboding black armor, which is on point with how everyone else has described it, and he gives off this aura of just wanting to kill people. As in, anyone who comes near him who's alone sometimes doesn't show back up later. He usually doesn't deal with groups, and he doesn't talk to people. He just walks through town sometimes, and almost like he's searching for something. And he's just a menace. People don't like him. They don't know why he has the title that he has, because he has done nothing but horrid things for the village and the surrounding area. The only thing I can think of is maybe Kishnik is actually just too afraid to take the title from him. Or, sorry, Lord Potoris is too scared to take the title from him. And they would honestly not blame him, because Potoris is like 5'4". Sir Boltier is bordering on about 7 to 8 feet, somewhere in that range. And he is mysterious as he is lethal sounding. No one really wants to deal with him, and no one wants to know. No one wants to get close to him. The only thing they know is that he lives in a small, some wager to call it a house, as it is a bunch of wood that's been mishmashed together against an old decrepit tower just outside of town. And he rises, usually in the evening or right before sunset, heads out, patrols the town, and then sort of vanishes for periods of time. And there are sometimes people don't actually ever see him, and he just will show up back in town right before sunrise. But no one actually knows what he does. He's just terrifying, and sometimes people go missing when they're seen around him.
Neat. That's
Just what you wanted to hear?
I was delivered soup. I mean, on the one hand, Eudocia is like, this is gonna be difficult to work with, but on the other hand, it's kind of hot. I'm not gonna lie.
A giant murderous man in black armor is hot. Alright, alright.
Look.
Alright.
She's like into Harald. Like, I don't know what else to tell you.
I will say that there's another VTuber. Her name is Mistress Kimrai. She's also a demon. Blue, purplish skin. Bunch of neat designs. She has an absolute, I will say, murderous desire for an individual known as Michael Myers in Dead by Daylight. So,
Yeah, I get it.
I will not judge too much here.
It's fucking Michael Myers is hot as fuck. You can get off my back.
Wow.
Nah, but Eudocia is like, huh, this is interesting and weird. And she likes a challenge. I mean, what's more challenging to get someone on your side than a man who wants to kill everybody. Like, what's more difficult than that? Did they get where? I assume Ariadne told her all this. Yeah.
Yes.
What did I miss? Because I.
Yes, I saw you stepped away. The gist of it, Sir Bautier was a large 7 to 8 foot man in black armor that no one's ever seen under, that goes around. Sometimes people who are alone near him and are last seen with him just vanish, and he often goes around and just patrols and then vanishes for hours on end, and sometimes evenings on end, and then reappears. And no one knows why he still has the title of Sir, why he's still a knight. They can only assume that Lord Patorus is just too scared to actually release him of his title, and they don't honestly blame him, because the man has a sword that's as tall as he is. No one really likes him, but no one's going to stand up to him because he's massive. And yeah, and he lives apparently in a, barely call it a house, that's been built into the side of a decrepit tower just outside of town.
Spooky man, spooky tower. Let's fucking go. 2 small women going into spooky tower with a spooky man. Nothing could go wrong.
Okay, we're more than women.
I know, but I'm just saying, from the outside. You've got, like, a lady and what looks like a lady in waiting.
I thought you were about to imply that what looks like a lady, me. I was like, what the hell?
Well, a lady as in, like, a lord and lady, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just... No one can quite tell.
To be fair, you also do have someone that looks like a lady.
Harald is very effeminate, yeah.
I meant Jezebel, but alright.
Jezebel's not here.
This is fair. So you've got some information now on your lovely new target. What do you do from here? Do you go try and find the others?
As excited as Eudocia is to try and use her womanly wiles on this man, she is going to turn to Ariadne and say, the smart thing to do right now would be to find the others and tell them what we have learned. But I really want to investigate this further. But whatever you think is right.
I say... Did they even say bullocks back then? That's like such a British thing. I was about to say that. Why was I about to have her say that? I'm so sorry, Ariadne. Oh my god.
Yeah, we're
anyway.
in Greece. I say bollocks.
We're in Greece, and you're from not Greece.
We're from, like, Turkey.
You're from primordial Turkey, as it were. So you're primordial Turkey woman.
My brain is just like say bullocks. You know that meme with Kermit the Frog, and he's like got the hood on. Say bullocks. Okay. Serious face on. I think we should investigate. Don't need to be scared, Eudocia.
And I am gonna roll
Self-control?
self-control. I'm just trying to be like, what would be a common sense kind of roll?
Self-control. Should I go do this thing?
Yeah. What diff should I do that? I was just gonna do 6, but
6 would be appropriate. I don't think it needs to be terribly high. It's not like she's... It's one thing if, like, it was tempting you to go do something nefarious for fun, but you're just trying to be
Yeah.
adventurous.
Do I have to make any roll?
You don't have to.
No.
I was just making that to see, because, like, Eudocia, you know, on the one hand, she's like, this probably is a really bad idea. But on the other hand, both I and Ariadne are hella down to do this ourselves. But in old people speak. I doubt they said hella back then either.
Dude, Ariadne's mean as rubble, man. Let's go. Do this.
I don't, as much as I am completely with your enthusiasm for adventure, I think it would be better to at least grab Harald, who also has a sword larger than himself.
The sword is about the only thing interesting about him. But as you wish. Above table cackle.
Safety in numbers. We do also know this man has, or we don't know, but this man is a large suspect for having just murdered a mortal and a kindred. I don't know why I forgot that. So I don't know if we should. I said at least Harald. We can grab Corbus as well, which we shall do. Do you want to split up and gather Corbus, and I will gather Harald, or do you want to grab Harald and then Corbus?
I think it would be better if I grab Corbus. Harald is not my biggest fan, and you have such great assets. You could try and amuse him with to convince him.
I think Harald will come either way, but I don't think that is a compliment. She's
Oh
gonna head
yes,
off
he
to
will.
the
He will
church.
come, all right.
Christ.
What?
This is a quick
You got
scrape.
you got the socials. He doesn't. I'm sorry.
All right, where's my man's Corbus?
He's
All
back
right.
at the place.
Corbus,
Place.
you are exiting and about to hit the village proper when you do see Ariadne coming from the village, heading up towards where she last saw you. Approaching with a mild bit of gusto, but also likely a slight discontent.
Corbus will approach carefully.
Ariadne?
I thought he was, for some reason when you said that, there was like a pause, and I thought you were going to continue.
Yes, I was. He was gonna say something.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry.
okay, that's why.
Ariadne, you at the shrine, be still my heart.
Don't get so excited, Corbus. I'm here to fetch you, not the Lord.
We do not fetch the Lord, Ariadne.
I wouldn't know that.
I
I'm not
wouldn't.
interested in anything to do with that. And I didn't come here for that.
Oh, and what did you come for from me? Well, you have called and I have come. And what do you need me for this time?
Would you like to assist Eudocia and I? We're gonna go looking for... Bleh. Oh my god, sorry. We're going to keep looking for that man that we found. We found some things. We thought we might need some more help.
And why
Maybe have
would
God
you
on our
want-
side.
And why would you want to do that?
Not interested in a little mystery, Corbus?
You know, nary a dozen kindred live on this island. And any one of them could have done it.
And aren't you interested in finding out exactly who did it?
I don't really care.
How can she convince Corbus? Going to church? Will going to church do that for you?
I'll go to
You see-
mass tomorrow if you do this.
But you see, I'm deeply curious why you want to know. Tell me, why do you want to know who the killer is? Do you plan to tell Lord Tefiro? Hoping for a boon?
We could use that information.
Could we? And how would you
Okay.
use that information?
It's something, anything, out of Lord Tefiro, or
Hmm.
use it as leverage. You never know. Whatever we
Because-
can find out.
Because what I believe Lord Tefiro is going to do is he's going to tell us that it was our civic duty as people who live in his domain to maintain its security and then still expect what he expects out of us. And that we should be trying to make our friends elsewhere.
What do I have to do, Corbus, to make you follow me?
Ariadne,
Ugh, gross.
a Ventrue
No men of the cloth.
bartering. He'll tilt his head. And what were you thinking? Here I was going to say of your Ventrue lineage that begging is unbecoming. Name my price? And what? And what did you think I would want?
Hopefully, nothing that would be under you. Now,
This-
what do you want?
There's so many ways that you word things, Ariadne, that your ST sits here and goes, man, if this were any of the ST's characters, they'd be running all over this and making very lurid puns out of this. I appreciate it.
I'm glad. I make it really hard for you to be honest.
Ariadne, Ariadne, Ariadne. Your proud dynasty often does not barter. What do you have to offer?
What does Corbus want from her? Because I don't even know how to answer that.
I would say repentance.
You
Ugh.
could. You
That's
could
gross.
do perception empathy and try to garner that out of him. Difficulty 7.
Oh, okay. Let's do that. I'd rather do that. Oh, that's rough.
As far as you can tell, Corbus wants nothing from you. He's looking at you very expectantly. Like he expects you to name him something. Or some things.
Alright, well, she's got nothing. Yeah.
But offer to go to like a mass or something.
That's so uncharacteristic.
I know she
Of this-
wouldn't like want
Of this
to, but,
beautiful
like,
thing that I've made. Sarcasm.
No, she's great. I love her. I'm just saying. That's clearly something that would, get him excited, I guess. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to repent my sinful ways. I'll go to the next mass.
That's going to be a hard sell, admittedly.
That is
idea.
gonna be a hard sell, yeah.
Like, even if Ariadne came to that conclusion, that's going to be a hard sell. That is, like, blatant lie levels of hard selling.
You could go like, or we can go alone, and if we die,
I
don't think
will...
our sire's gonna be too stoked about it.
I will throw a bone here, and where Eudocia does have a point, I will throw a bone and simply say and request that a man of the church not let a lady walk alone.
Oh shit. Yeah. Thanks,
Okay.
SG-chan.
Oh, so ST-chan, Corbus, is just fucking with her.
I'm well aware. I figured that
he's-
out.
He's testing her to make her try to convince and barter him, but he's already under oath not to let her get killed doing stupid shit. So, not that she knows that, but hey.
Dear Ariadne, it would not do well for a churchman to let a woman go alone to a potentially dangerous part of town. And if he cannot convince you not to do it, then he rightly has to be there to protect you, no?
That's true. It's true, SG-chan. That's the route that Ariadne is gonna take, 100%. Appreciate that bone you gave me. Corbus, if I can't convince you, then I will stop trying. I'm not gonna waste my breath any further on that. Guess I'll be going back to our friends and see if Eudocia's been any luckier with Harald.
But you have such a strong knight like Harald to protect you. What do you need me for?
I honestly don't know.
Ariadne,
What did I need you for?
2 lessons you should learn from this. 1. If you're going to lean on a man and their natural urge to protect a pretty young lady like yourself, perhaps you should not inform them that you are going to have a knight retainer in your company. 2nd, and he'll take a half step forward and kind of lean in. If you're going to try to convince a man of the cloth to protect you on his convictions, he'll kind of, with his finger, not touch her, but gesture down to her exposed cleavage and say, maybe you should consider a blouse. You look like a whore.
Oof.
And he'll stand up straight.
In all
And
fairness, he's not 100% wrong.
And
Oh.
Is it still
As-
rude? A little bit.
as you and say, and he'll lean up and say, and as you may know, the sinful are owed nothing by the house of God. Nothing but a chance to repent. Speaking of repentance, let's
He's
just be
lucky Eudocia isn't there because she would have fucking clocked him.
attacking a man of the claw.
Eh,
Huh?
alright.
Dangerous if able
She's
to be
got her
proven.
convictions.
Proof. I think this is the 21st century.
Yes, he has to announce that he was struck. If he never
Oh,
gets to
yeah.
do that...
No, that's fair.
Alright.
And he'll
Is...
follow Ariadne, albeit looking, you know,
Smug as
small-
fuck?
Oh, it's worse. He looks as genuine and as normal like he always does. like a kindly old man. Just like he is, of course.
Naturally. A kindly old man that can also, warp your body in mysterious ways. And truly make you as God intended if he really wanted. God, if he ever gets a derangement, I could see that happening. Alright. Meanwhile, Harald, did you announce where you were going whenever you left the ladies?
What have I... Had to cough, sorry. Would have, probably pointed out that, he was going... Yeah, he would have... I think I actually said that. Said, like, right at the start, said, I'm going to find a church, or something to that effect. I'm pretty sure I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't intend to.
So, Eudocia, you head for the church, and, you come to a Harald standing there, looking around at his surroundings, and you see dozens of small birds, dead, surrounding the church in almost a perfect circle. As Harald is lifting his boots, realizing he has crunched one of them on a boot.
Oh, Harald, what have you done?
Believe me. Would you believe me if I told you that this one... if I told you that this was not directly... my fault.
Possibly. What happened? I am dying to know. A lot of corpses.
I hoped to entrust my sword into the care of this church. And as such, it would seem the sword ejected. So now I need to find a better church and speak to Corbus about replacing the altar.
I assume they were not they did not take too kindly to your offer of prepayment.
I would not be surprised if the priest in there was attempting to reconsecrate the church right now. Cut. Or alternatively, Harald just created something like the Priory out of Netflix Castlevania Season 3.
Oh, good. Eudocia will carefully pick her way over the birds, trying her best not to crush any of the poor things.
And
yeah.
And where has Ariadne gone? Did you finally push that? Did you? As Harald just steps over the birds, not really caring at this point that he's probably stepping on a few of them.
Eudocia cringes at every crunch.
Every little crunch, just crunch. It's like walking through snow, but it's not snow. But yeah, anyway, as he just comes to the other side. Did you finally throw her down a well and rid yourself of her?
Fuck.
No, I did not. She actually... We were going to gather you in Corbus as we had been investigating our suspect. We found some interesting information. He is a terrifying man with a sword as tall as he is. We know where he apparently resides. She and I were both eager to investigate, but my conscience and self-preservation got the better of me, so I offered to collect you, and she went to go collect Corbus. I don't know how well that is going, to be honest. Probably not great, but
most likely poorly. We'll
yes.
probably find her tied to a tree with her own arms.
But I felt it would go better than sending her to collect you. But yes, would you be so kind as to come with us? I would very much like my head on my shoulders.
Do you fully intend to go and investigate this man's estate tonight anyways?
Well, I wouldn't say investigate his state. I was hoping to visit and hopefully he'd be there. But yes, I do intend to go regardless if you come with. I would just appreciate you being there.
Then it would not do well for me to let you go alone.
Wonderful. I was hoping you would say that. And she would hold out her hand with like the smuggest smile on her face.
And Harald is just gonna take her arm in his and just make like the good and noble knight, and be her escort.
Why was that so much easier for her?
Cause they kind of want to fuck.
I don't-
Really? Because he doesn't act like shit.
Just because he has shitty socials doesn't mean he doesn't want to bone.
I don't actually have that bad of socials.
Maybe he's just constipated. Maybe he needs to poop.
Gross.
Yes, you see, what happened is, after he was embraced, he just never got that vital one out, and...
No,
And it's just stuck in there.
I'm gonna guess that it's because
like turtling?
Eudocia doesn't constantly harass him.
Some people like that.
In
Some
full,
people are into that.
Yeah.
full disclosure, it is in fact that that Eudocia doesn't try to bully him at every possible opportunity.
Question. If she being Ariadne was to apologize, unlikely, but just curious, and want
She
to start
might have-
fresh.
She might have an easier time going forward. Might.
Hypothetically,
It
in a
de- it depends
possible
if she-
scenario.
It depends if she keeps being a bitch about it afterwards, but
Yes.
we can address that later. For now,
Carry on.
Spooky tower.
towards the edge of town, the four of you end up meeting up, heading towards this tower. It is north of town, so you're kind of going the opposite way of heading back to Lord Defiro, but that's irrelevant for now. You meet up rather easily as the light of town starts to dim and the shadows begin to engulf you. Unlike the main road, there is no extra torts or braziers around here, meaning that when you head north of town towards the hilly countryside, the mountainous countryside even, you will find that it is a little hard to see, given, none of you have the ability to see in the dark, naturally. So, you're on the edge of what is the light of town. You're together. Do you wish to discuss a game plan, or simply inform others of what you actually found out, or have found out since you've been separated?
Well, I am glad you two did not kill each other on the way over here. This is,
Me? Kill someone? How very simple.
Thought about it, she would say, and look over down on the ground, kind of.
If you were
sarcastically.
capable, I'm sure you would have it. If you were capable, I'm certain you would have attempted. And he'll smile.
wonderful. I am glad you two are getting along so well now. In other news, you might want to speak with the priest of the church in this town. Harald had an unfortunate incident. Would you like to explain, Harald?
Harald, my son.
I need to get this giggle fit out right quick. 1 second. Just make it sound like I took a poop in the middle of the church. Why don't you?
No, I know.
He had an
That's why I was like-
incident.
I
Yeah.
almost said accident, and I was like, no. We're done a little differently.
Yeah, we're all just.
Morbus, Harald had an accident.
Oh
An accident in the church.
All right, child. Let's get the wipies.
All
One
right.
moment.
All right. I got that out. Okay, I'm relaxed now.
Yeah, you got it out in the church, yeah.
Lord. Anyways, this is what I had hoped. This is related to what I had hoped to discuss with you, Corbus. And he just shrugs the bundle off of his back and will just take the wrappings off of it to finally, in character, show Corbus the sword. Tiernan, you familiar with Berserk?
I am familiar with Berserk, yes.
It's basically Guts' first sword. Not the Dragon Slayer, but like the one that he's running around with when he's with the Band of the Hawk.
So it's just a bastard sword.
It's a... it was described to me as being like...
It is...
From edge to edge or something.
It is about 7 feet long, and it is a straight blade.
A big sword.
Corbus, give me perception awareness, please. Difficulty 5. Corbus, at your mocking of it, it's almost like it lashes out at you, and you feel a warmth fill your body. Not a kind warmth like one would get from drinking ale or wine after a period, but a straight hellish fire trying to ebb itself into your very heart. It obviously does not latch on to anything, but it's almost like the sword was aware of your slight mockery.
I'm sorry, Mr. Sword. Do you want me? Should I have referred to you by your rude official name? No, come on. Don't make a gesture at it. So, your blade is cursed.
Yes. I hoped to entrust it to the care of the church here in town.
Here.
Here.
In this town.
In this town.
That church.
That church.
My son, you bring these sorts of things to cathedrals and monasteries for a reason.
I was hoping... I will admit I was hoping to get lucky. And also hoping that the sword would not incinerate a stone altar as a show of its distaste for being left there.
It also left a small bird, well, not really small, a large bird cemetery out front.
A what now?
To be clear, the birds encircled the entirety of the church.
When I exited the church, it was surrounded, but it was completely encircled by small, dead birds.
The poor little sparrows.
Were they tasty? Ariadne would ask. Kind of sarcastically. Evil.
No.
I do not know. I did not stop to eat any of them.
Unfortunate.
Though if you're looking for a snack, they're probably still there. That poor priest has probably had a deep conversation with God tonight.
I know that I do
So-
every time I see Harald.
And yet you are still found lacking. Corbus will approach the sword. They will draw his cross. And he will start by placing the cross over the sword and speak.
Interrupting right quick. As soon as he draws the cross and holds it over the sword, Harald, like, two-hand grips on the hilt and, like, drives the tip a little ways into the ground to just brace the sword where it is.
And Eudocia will take a cautious step back from Harald, not wishing to end up like the sparrows.
And what are you attempting to do, Corbus?
Well, we are testing it. I think it's probably the best way to put it. The sword seems like it does not appreciate the divine.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to place his cross on it and then,
Okay. Give
mutter
me...
up the words of ritual purification.
Give me a wits theology, and we'll go from there.
What diff you want on that, boss?
Only div 6, because it's just requiring you to know and recite the knowledge properly. Big
Damn,
oof.
Corbus. I'm fucking it up.
And then give me a permanent willpower roll, please. Difficulty 8.
Alright, hell, man.
Permanent willpower. Oh no.
Oh, no. Oh, no, no, no.
What have you done to our priest?
Nothing.
Nothing!
Corbus, you get the feeling that the moment you start reciting to it, it's, one, your cross starts getting hot. Not damagingly so, but it is notably hot in your hand. And you feel the presence pushing into your body, passing through your flesh, or should I say clay vessel, and attempting to latch on to your soul. But your reciting seems to quell it, and you always get this sensation of hissing, like it's not so much in physical pain, like someone taking a blade to the body, but like it's like listening to a horrid sound. And the coterie around starts hearing the same sound of birds struggling to breathe, and the crying of sparrows as they are strangled. Alas, there is no actual sparrows to fall upon you, or around you for that matter, but you hear it. It echoes around you. And as the presence seems to quell for a period, Corbus, you realize that though you are successful, this is hardly permanent. And even more so, you feel this thing is dormant in a way. As if it is not quite at its fullest of potential.
I put it back to rest. But we will need to take this blade somewhere very holy, very powerful, to have it destroyed in permanence, or sealed in permanence.
Which is why I did not simply throw it into the Aegean Sea as we left Constantinople. And Harald begins rewrapping the sword at this point.
A wise choice. A blade of this evil would have found its way to the wrong hands, if left to its own devices.
Corbus, give me another wits theology, please. This one, difficulty 8.
3 successes.
Okay, so I just had to make things progressively harder for you to succeed better at them. Alright. Corbus, this is the same wrapping, though you did not know it was a demonic sword of any degree. You do know this sword, when you have seen it in passing, has been wrapped like this consistently. If this wrapping is the same wrapping as what it was whenever it was acquired by Harald, it might have enough... I don't wish to use sympathetic in a very methodical or mathematical sense, but it might have enough resonance with it that you could use it to bind it at least for a period of time, so it does not lash out whilst unused.
Corbus is going to, after this wrap, take his cross and the rosary and tie the cross to the hilt of the blade. The cross was used as the idol of faith that suppressed it. So hopefully, if the cross remains with it at all times, it will remain suppressed until the time comes that it can be removed properly.
And just like that, at least for a time, it's... Even Harald realizes it's that moment of stepping out of a temperature that you've been in for a long time, and stepping into a warmer room, and suddenly you realize just how cold you were. Even Harald feels a sudden weight lifted off his shoulders for the time being. It's not the full weight of the blade coming off of him, but it is definitely a realization of just how permeated this thing has become to him. The rest of the coterie would feel some of that weight as well. Not as pronounced as Harald's feeling of it, given he is the owner, but there's a drop in just how dreadful the area around them feels.
Well, good to know that aura wasn't completely yours, Harald. Perhaps dealing with mortals might be a bit easier now.
Perhaps.
If only slightly.
As he secures it on his back again and turns to Corbus.
Corbus is looking at him.
Okay. Thank you.
In doing what we ought, we deserve no praise, because it is our duty.
And yet there are enough in this world that do not do as they ought, and so I feel obliged to just say it anyways. Thank you.
Of course, Harald. I'll pat him on the shoulder. No, you are all pursuing a killer in the night. For what? It was never explained. When they pressed Ariadne had no reason. So tell me, why do you pursue this man, Eudocia?
Well, originally it was, sorry, I need a new microphone, new headset, whole shebang. Originally it was,
And do you think he has one? In this day and age?
Shut the fuck up.
Okay. I heard this killer has a new headset for my gaming computer. I thought I'd check it out.
Yes, we are abundantly convinced that he is a true brouhaha.
Fuck. Give me a moment. I need to recover from that.
How dare you break the fourth wall?
I have the power of God and fourth wall breaking on my side.
Well, of course, I want to investigate this man as quickly as possible in hopes to end these senseless murders. I personally do not care to see anyone or anything die needlessly. And as also, my curiosity was piqued. The people speak of this man as if he is a legend, like ghost. I'm
Eudocia.
curious if he meets this.
A mortal controlled information coming and going from the docks, and the kindred are murdered in the same night. And you think it's sensible? No. This man is acting against Lord Dufiro purposely.
I did not say it was sensible. I just said that I wished to end his reign of terror as quickly as possible, and my curiosity was piqued. It is why I
You
recommended.
intend to kill this man.
No, I wish to know if he is the one doing the killings. I suppose if he is, maybe, but I would leave it up to Lord Kishnik.
No, he is absolutely the man doing the killing. He matches the description of the bandit and the animals in the area. A mountain of a man with a blade taller than most men, who
Yes.
struck the Canaanites down in the street. No, it's him.
There are also kindred in this world with abilities to make themselves appear as others. There are other creatures in this world I've heard of, such as the Fae and perhaps even one of the Guru. But,
If it was the Guru or the Fae, it is beyond our abilities.
and I would like to find out if it is this man exactly, so we
And
can
what
know.
makes you believe he will not kill us if we accuse him, and he is the murderer?
I wasn't going to strut into his home screaming, "Hello, sir! Killer! I found your corpses you left behind, and I wish to ask you some questions." No, I'm going to go in. Well, first I would like to see his home. Perhaps, see if he is there. One. And it would also be, I don't know, appropriate to introduce ourselves. If you feel this is a completely terrible, awful idea that is out of any sane, reasonable thought, I can understand that as well, and you are willing to, or you are more than welcome to stop us. But I just wanted you to know that Ariadne wanted to go off and do this without you both, so
Well, I
thought.
just want to press your position, because as it sounds, no matter how politely you intend to ask, you do intend to ask the man you believe to be the killer, if he is in fact the killer.
Yes, I suppose I would ask him more of if he knew anything, if he is aware of these killings and that people are accusing him of them. This will probably go south, but
I believe Lord Kishnik is wise enough to know that with the description that we left him, they would be able to easily find out that it is this man, if we found out so quickly. Besides, I already gave Lord Kishnik the bird that witnessed the murder. To it, he should be able to identify the killer quite easily. I would have opened with this, but Ariadne did not actually tell me your intentions when she recruited me.
yes, I would take it as you wouldn't have come if she did.
I would have come. I cannot leave you to die.
I appreciate that. But I also do not wish to throw your bird's reputation aside, but it is a bird, and it did not quite give us all the information when you were questioning it.
It did give me all that information.
No, I remember you had to ask it to clarify because it left out some details.
It's also a dumb bird and likely
Yeah.
gave bird responses in terms of how it defined things. But yes, it
Yeah, but we link with its brain. Its small brain, that's fine. it still told me what I needed to know.
Is that relatable to Corbus, or
Blinking with its brain? Yes.
no, the small brain?
No, unfortunately.
Corbus, being a religious man, is actually more educated than most. During this time period, anyway.
I actually get to read. Wow.
Yes, well, as I said before, there is a possibility he is framed by a kindred with disguising abilities or a creature beyond our knowledge or ability to handle.
And how would interrogating him prove this?
If he didn't do it, ask.
Are you going to use your blood discipline of Dominate to force a confession out of him one way or
Of course
another?
not. No.
Then, how would you be certain he is not deceiving you?
I cannot be certain, but I feel it is good to exhaust all our resources. If you really think that this is a terrible, horrible idea, then suppose we can step back from it.
I believe that your sire's reputations, your collective sire's reputation rides on your actions and your successes, your failures. Well, your lives are not just your own. Everything you do reflects on your master and each other.
Yes, I know this very well, Corbus. I grew up like this. If this is successful, then fantastic. We did a good job. It looks good for us and for our sire. If it is not successful, we will probably die.
And do you think that this has information worthy of its gains compared to its losses?
As you two both confess, notably, Harald is being a little more alert and reviewing the scenery. You may continue.
Perhaps it is not. If you really think this is not a great idea, then you'll go. But,
Eudocia, I've not stated whether or not I think it's a good idea. I'm trying to...
that is why I'm pressing you to tell me. Do you think this is a terrible idea in which we are going to die horribly? Or are you going to come with me and help me?
I'm honor-bound to help you in either way.
Alright. Do you think this is a terrible idea?
Oh, the worst.
And you think we should not do this?
Oh, not even a little.
Thank you. That is all I fucking wanted to know. Did you turn
But
to
I will not
Ariadne and
always
Harald?
be here to tell
Of
you.
course. In your terrible, long-winded, roundabout way, apparently. Harald, Ariadne, do you wish to continue this investigation? My curiosity is piqued and I would like to, but as Corbus has stated here, this is a terrible, worse, awful idea.
Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad. Okay.
Yes.
You already
What
know
are
my
you
opinion. Of course, I want to. He should gesture toward this. It's just very difficult. Contrary.
Are you enjoying your sparrow there, Harald?
Yes, it's very tasty.
That is
Pound
the
gently.
And then, yes, she will turn to Harald, of course. And Harald, you mentioned before that this was a terrible idea. Not a terrible idea, but you did seem reluctant to go along with it, though I appreciate you coming along. Do you think we should, not do this?
I'll have an answer for you here in a second.
Harald!
Yes.
Fun fact.
What's up?
In the distance,
Mm-hmm.
about 50 meters off,
50 or 15?
50,
Okay.
there is
Damn.
a silhouette that you're pretty sure is staring at you. You can't make out any defining features, but you're pretty sure it's there.
Well, we're gonna test to see that Harald is gonna turn completely towards that silhouette and just, like, raise a hand in greeting.
So,
Just,
So, bro. So with you, bro.
just,
Holla.
yes, hello, I see you.
Holla over here, girl. What's you doing? So, gave myself cancer.
You see it sort of, it doesn't lift its hand wave back, but it does sort of slump slightly to the left. And
How is it doing the friendly wiggle?
yes, it's about to start crouching at you rapidly
Oh.
in succession. No. It slumps a little, and then it looks to turn, and then starts to fade as if going downhill from something. Away from you.
Alright.
Eudocia would follow Harald's wave direction and just arch an eyebrow.
Dear Herald, you were also asked a question.
Yes, I was asked a question as to whether or not I thought this was a good idea. And Harald, lets his arm fall down and looks to the others. I do not think it would. I do not think it was advisable to do. I do not think it is advisable for us to pursue the matter of this murderer more than we already have. If he is acting against his lord's wishes, then his lord knows to confront him about it. And if he lies to his lord, then, well, I suppose it is going to continue to be a problem. If he is acting according to the wishes of his lord, however, then this is going to be a problem that finds us.
And I understand you do not respect Lord Kishnik because of his lineage. Fair enough. That will not change the fact that he will kill you. If this is within his wishes and you press it. Or even if it is not. If you impress it in his domain and continue to insult him.
Having spoken to them. You want to
gesture to Harald to continue?
Okay. Having spoken to the man directly, well, I believe he has a worse temper than I do. I think he is worthy of respect. At the very least, for holding his position as he does. And
More
having
importantly, if respect cannot be garnered with words, it will be taken at sword point. It is the way of the canine.
There's also an important compensation here, or maybe a lack therein. What do any of you truly gain from a decrepit isle where you happen to have a boon with Lord Defiro because you, and this is best case scenario, because you chose to help him shame Kishnik? They're likely not going to kill Kishnik. It's a ghoul stepping out of line. You'll just kill the ghoul. There's no larger gain for this. However, there was a purpose to coming here, and though it was likely not to find and convict a man in black armor, you've now networked. You've stepped outside of the, I suppose, the metaphorical shadow of your sire to actually talk to another kindred of her or maybe slightly lesser standing. They are still higher standing than you, and you managed to negotiate, if maybe not well. So, the foul taste of leaving something unanswered might haunt you. You also find that you did accomplish something here. Or you can find. I suppose I can't force you to see it that way, but there was an accomplishment here, even if it wasn't finding and dealing with a murderous individual. That's not your job. You're not the police. You're not crusaders or inquisitors. You're just subjects.
I command the guard, I'm not in the guard.
You're subjects of a larger system. No one told you to go find this individual. You chose to find them because, well, one, it got you some networking, and two, it might have led to something, and provided it was not Lord Boltier, or Sir Boltier, you might have actually been able to do something. Finding out it's him, knowing Kishnik has a secret now to cover up, might be enough for you to wiggle some extra alternatives out of him, if nothing else. And besides, I believe Corbus, you presented an offer that you might wish to divulge.
Lord Defiro is the problem.
On that we agree.
He needs to die.
Wow,
Well,
such
that
harsh
jumped.
words coming from a man of the cloth.
You were in Constantinople, no?
Of course
Yes.
I was.
So he'll just kind of make a hand motion and say, say that back again to yourself, but think about it slowly for a moment. So I rephrase.
I'm not saying you're wrong. Just
Lord Kishnik and Lady Cormac are in something of a debate over a small bay in the northern part of the island, slap dab between their domains. Both feel they are owed it. Fair enough. But I see an opportunity for us. We may not have great power in this isle or in our kindred communities, but we do combined make up a notable chunk of the Canaanite population of this isle. Wherever we place ourselves, we give that Canaanite lord a considerable advantage. I say we use it. I'm going to speak. Lord Kishnik offered me, and by extension all of you, per his own words, the right to rest and feed here in the domain for this evening. Of which then in the new evening I will approach Lord Kishnik again about the idea. If Lord Kishnik can be persuaded to act against Lord Defiro, I'm going to approach Lady Cormac about the same. A temporary alliance between them can push Lord Defiro out of the picture, or at least make him so busy he cannot be concerned about our merchant vessel. We don't need anyone to win. We just need to put enough power in our hands that Lord Defiro is too busy, either dying or trying not to die, that he cannot worry about my ship. I control the garrison at Marina, and I currently hold in barter the right to retain her to both the villa and the minute is promised to it. A powerful tool of barter. And key to Lord Zephyro securing the last of the guard, or Kishnik or Corman, securing a foothold to try to get influence over Marina. We have power here, because we do not have to worry about the long-term consequences of our actions, as long as it does not get us killed in the very, very immediate.
And if anyone's been paying attention, like as Corbus has been saying, as Harald's vision has just kind of slowly been falling off into the middle distance.
There isn't a thought behind those eyes. No, Eudocia is listening intently. She's nodding along and
I say we do this. Lord Zephyro does not want to lose the advantage that sitting your sire presents him. That advantage needs to be snatched from him. And if Kishnik or Corman win and get total supremacy due to our assistance, we have a friend on this island for the foreseeable future. We are not going too far.
no, this is true.
The Duchy of Athens is close. Close enough that we do not have to worry about the repercussions of this. Close enough that we can still reap a benefit.
And then Harald just suddenly snaps his expression back towards Corbus. Can we do this without burning every city on the island down?
I believe so, yes. And if alliance is successfully formed between Kishnik and Cormac, and the gathering of my garrison and their kindred forces is done secretively enough, which it can be if they come to my villa under the appearance of other guests, people of the cloth. We can strike violently and suddenly. If that is done successfully, Lord Zephyro can be murdered in secrecy. Cormac and Kishnik will then probably have to talk or fight it out, but that's not our concern. Do we know what clan Cormac is? Lady Cormac?
Cormac. Where?
I have a couple of guesses based on the name, but I don't think we've been told.
Yeah, no, we have not been outright told.
SD-chan?
A politics check is in order?
Wits politics, difficulty 7, please. If you have politics. If you do not have politics, you cannot roll it.
4 successes.
Wait. Politics. Scrolled way too far.
1 success.
Are you still trying to find politics? Hold on. Oh, it's on. There we
It's
go.
okay, I couldn't find it either.
Difficulty what?
7.
7.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Big oof.
No, got the 1 success.
Oh, that one's actually a botch.
Ariadne, you're pretty sure Cormac is like another gangrel? Or maybe something worse, like a ravenous? Not that you think ill of ours, but you know, they are essentially gypsies. That said, the rest of you have rolled high enough that, well, I suppose, succeeded. And that you know that Cormac is indeed a Bruja. A Bruja who is not so much against the church as they are still quite avid pagan. At least they push their subjects for such. Whether they themselves are is a total other question. As for...
Pagan faith.
What's up?
Which pagan faith?
That is unclear. The majority of what they seem to do is a lot of bordering hedonistic things, from what you've heard.
So lots of dancing naked on the solstice and lots of orgies.
Less worried about the solstice in that regard. Just, they seem to do every week, at least once or twice, there's some sort of ritualistic sacrifice of livestock and burning of one's what
Celtic.
like physical belief or physical, what the hell am I trying to think of? Worldly possessions, there we go. Like super
Okay.
valuable things. So
That
a
makes-
lot of them, though they live poorly, such as, you know, in rags, they wear the rags as like we're not bound to, you know, the wealth system
Yeah.
like the rest of you.
Yeah.
Well,
It's,
they're while they're also weekly sacrificing the means of survival.
So not really strictly any pagan thing, just sort of like
no, that's
not Christian.
Sounds like Celtic.
I
Like,
mean, yeah, but
really, really Celtic.
that's that as far as things, yeah, as far as things that have been around recently enough to still be present in the mortal consciousness, yeah, Celtic.
Yeah, probably very Celtic, given, you know, the last name and all.
Right.
It's the only thing that's not super, super ancient that involves human and animal sacrifice and
I
burning
think
effigies of
Good.
self.
could be Slavic.
Yeah, but
Well,
does it matter?
it does actually.
It does. A little bit.
Because it tells me if they're, you know, because Celtic Druidism is taboo even in the homeland. If it's Slavic, they could be Lithuanian, and if they're Lithuanian, which is still officially pagan, they could actually call upon their pagan church for support. So one is a cult, and the other one is the closest thing to a pagan power outside of Asia.
But either way, Harald is once we've come to this conclusion, Harald is going to be nodding, and then after a moment, just turn to look at Corbus. Are we certain we want to turn this island over to the pagans?
No, but it couldn't happen. Imagine if there was a pagan outbreak in, you know, Modros or Marina. Once the situation in the Duchy of Athens stabilizes, they would send an entire garrison to stomp out the sound of it. Lord Cormac's pagan faith succeeding and growing on the island would mean its certain doom in the near future.
Which would only bring more war and violence to this place.
That does not sound like our concern. And frankly, I'm going to report the pagan activity, well, no matter what. The garrison will be sent regardless.
The point.
Eudocia has a fixed scowl on her face, but she doesn't say anything.
I'll look at Eudocia. You look frustrated.
It is rather cruel to punish these people just because of their beliefs, but I understand that is the church's thing.
In all,
Is it?
in all fairness, at this point in time, the type of paganism often results in a progressively downhill barbaric mentality, which does nothing for the people themselves if it's left to continue, and sometimes results in lots of murdering of innocents either direction.
I mean, yeah, in this time, the only interaction Christians have with Baltic pagans is them burning 19 missionaries alive. And that was like 100 years ago. There has not been a crusade called against the pagans yet.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's a reason
Couple.
they burn the missionaries, but yeah.
because they're missionaries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
they killed them.
that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
But right at the
I don't
it's
have the brain power to politics right now, sorry.
yeah at the it seems cruel to punish these people for their beliefs. Harald just kind of turns and just looks at Eudocia, and it's just that confused in motherfucker expression.
It's also, you just watched Corbus's, at least Corbus can show that his faith does something. Pagans haven't been able to shown anything of value, at least in your lifetimes, to be of value, with their faith. Corbus at least can show his faith can do something, even if, above table, we know that faith can kind of be applied from any direction. But this is where we'll pause for now. We will reconvene. I will speak to players off screen and figure out their plan of action currently, and we'll likely be moving on to the next night, as I believe we've exhausted our direct lines of activity for the evening. So we'll move into the next night, and we'll likely pick up with the coterie speaking with Kishnik on the next evening. However, I appreciate everyone coming by. I hope you enjoyed the show. Once more, this is Tyrannid, aka T, playing as Corbus. We have Daisy playing as Ariadne, the Fox Queen as Eudocia, and our sweet bread of more as Harald. Thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful evening, and I will send you all at someone in just a second. As we